I laid down the rules to her that she was not to have any bug-eyed monsters, none of these creepy crawly things from outer space, the usual nonsense of science fiction stuff. And then she came out with this Dalek business, and I was livid with anger. And she said, but honest, Sidney, they are not bug-eyed monsters. They were once living creatures with brains, and their brains had become so large, their bodies had atrophied, and they needed the metal casing to support the brains. There again is the wisdom of being a great head of drama group. I didn't want to do the Forsyte Saga, and it turned to be a world winner. I didn't want any bug-eyed monsters, and the Daleks is what made Doctor Who.
When I joined the BBC, I was totally new to this invention. They were called script editors. And they had this long-term responsibility. They found the authors and the outline, the first draft came to them, and David Whittaker was the original script editor assigned to the Doctor Who team.
And he, I remember, came up with Terry Nation and asked me what I thought, and I thought he sounded like a good idea.
I think Terry Nation was very much just an ideas man.
Terry did write a good script, but David sometimes put a bit of substance into our main characters, which, to make sure that, they weren't sold short.
So he had the idea of the story, and I think David nursed him along a lot with the dialogue, because David was a very thoughtful, very quiet, very intelligent man who would tend to find the human element in something which would otherwise simply be a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type thriller.
I did say to him once, I said, Terry, you often write in your scripts that they enter into a white, featureless room. They walk along a white, featureless tunnel. I said, why is everything white and featureless? He said, well, I couldn't think of anything else to say, really. It's up to you. Do what you like.
Over 500 years ago, there were two races on this planet. We, the Daleks, and the Thals.
This planet Skaro had been decimated by an atomic explosion of some kind.
And the Daleks retreated into the Dalek city, which was atomic bomb-proof.
After the neutronic war, our Dalek forefathers retired into the city, protected by our machines.
And they were pretty angry about their whole situation.
And they had become hopelessly mutated. They had lost, both by being underground and being naturally mutated unnaturally through radio mutation, into a sort of blob.
For us, the drug is a poison, and radiation is still necessary to us. Essential.
Using the radiation, using their own mutation, as it were, to their own advantage.
It was described as having an eye on a stalk and moving around on a round base with arms that had calipers or claws or something like this.
The moment he started drawing, and the great joy of those designers of that caliber is that they talk with their pencil. A piece of paper immediately becomes an idea.
The original design was more cylindrical, but it then occurred to me, of course, that the operator was going to be inside that for quite some time during rehearsals and during the recording, and that it would be preferable if he was sitting.
Of course, we wanted several of these. We had 4 finally. I mean, Chris and I were talking about 20, but...
There were four Daleks made originally for the grand total of £250, which doesn't seem much, but in 1963 it was quite a bit of money.
They were built down at Shawcraft in Uxbridge, out of plastic and 3-ply, as light as possible.
Shawcraft models, who made special props and effects for at least the first 3 years of Doctor Who, were a freelance company that operated from a couple of sheds just west of London Airport.
Ian, do you think they really are just machines?
What do you mean?
Well, I was going to say, do you think there's someone inside them?
I can explain. My agent called. Next Tuesday, could you go to the BBC workshop? The first time I saw a Dalek was that day. In fact, I only saw half of it to start with because the prototype was wheeled out, just the bottom half.
And the base was open to the floor, the studio floor. It had 3 Flexello rubber-tied 3-inch casters.
So I sat in it and he said, we want to test this prototype for manoeuvrability. We want you to move forwards, backwards, sideways, quickly, slowly. We want to see how you